friends, Stephanie here, and I'm back with more movie chatter. And I'm joined today by my special co-host, Pickle, because today is awards day. Today is the day that we let you know what our top 10 films for 2023 are. And these are all Pickle approved. She's seen all of them. She did try to negotiate a very heavy contract here, so she's not happy with me because I did not agree to all terms. She cannot have a pound of Munster cheese a day. I was not going to give in on that one. So we'll see how she does, see how long she hangs out. And I'm going to do my best to keep her happy. Maybe I'll put her on my lap so she can just take a little nap here. Okay, so I did rank these in order. Now, I don't normally do that, but I figured we're talking the top 10 best film, or my favorite films, not the best films, but my top 10 favorite films for 2023. So I figured I would try to rank them. I'm not very confident in my ranking ability, so go easy on me. I did my best, and this list could change from day to day for me because anything I put on my top 10 list, I think is a great film. Even the honorable mentions that I have here, I think they're great films. So I'm just going to get right into it. My first film that comes in, I'm going to go from 10 to 1. My first film at number 10 is Nyad. And it is a biopic about swimmer Diana Nyad, who was 60 years old when she decided to try and attempt an open ocean swim from Cuba to Florida. And it stars Annette Bening and Jodie Foster. Annette Bening plays Diana Nyad, and Jodie Foster plays a gal by the name of Bonnie, who was Diana Nyad's best friend, and kind of like a coach, and she kind of runs interference to make sure all Diana Nyad had to do was concentrate on the swimming. She kind of directs all the behind-the-scenes stuff and keeps Diana focused on the swimming. But I just thought this was really amazing. And when I saw some interviews on it, and when I was watching, Annette Bening was saying that she swam something like 8 hours a day to prepare for this role, which is just astounding. And to think that Diana Nyad decided at 60 years old to do this, it's such a testament to age is all about how you feel in your head, because I can't even imagine. I mean, there are days when I don't want to get out of bed because my foot hurts too much, and this woman is trying to swim from Cuba to Florida. So it's really an amazing story. It is streaming. I believe it was on Netflix, but if you haven't seen Nyad, definitely check it out. And I remember, it was like 2013 when this was going on, but I remember when she was doing these attempts, it took several tries for her to she did several tries for this swim. And I remember every time she was attempting one of these swims, everybody was glued to the TV to see if she was going to make it, because she was swimming through jellyfish and shark infested waters, and like her whole face would get bit up. And I think it was like a 52 or 54 hour swim, and where she could never get out of the water. She couldn't stop. She couldn't touch the boat. I mean, it really is amazing when you sit and you find out what was behind it. It's an amazing story. So Nyad came in at number 10. At number 9, I have a documentary, and this one's also streaming, and it is called Still, and it is the Michael J. Fox documentary. And it's just amazing. And you know about Michael J. Fox, you know about his early works and where he started on TV, and then we know him from Back to the Future and other movies that he made. And then they get into, his daily life and living with Parkinson's, which is a disease that he got way too young, way younger than anyone would ever have expected him to get it. And how he lives with that and how he deals with it and how hard he works to just maintain his independence. And really, he's really a testament again to the human spirit. And I was just really moved by his documentary, and there's none of this feel sorry for me stuff. It's just, he's really an amazing guy. So if you want to see a great documentary, definitely give Still a chance. It's really a good one. And at number 8, I had to have a horror film on here. So my pick was Talk to Me. And do I think this one was overhyped? A little bit. I think it was a little bit overhyped, but it still delivered. I thought this was a very, very good modern horror movie. If you've seen it, you know the story. They have this hand that they've come across. Now, I want to know more about the hand. Hopefully, we'll get that in future installments. So they have this hand, and it kind of becomes like a party trick where all the kids are filming what happens when they touch this hand. They grab the hand, they say, like, talk to me or something, and it opens a door to the other side, like where the non-living are. And of course, things are not going to go well. They're not going to go as planned, but we follow this group of kids on their quest to, get to the other side and get back safely. And like I said, things go wrong, but it's really, really good. And I think this is a very, very good modern horror movie, and I think it has a lot of potential to become franchise material. But let's see what they do with it in the next one. So that's number 7. Number 8. Number 7 is a film by it's Celine Song, and it's an A24 film, and it is called Past Lives. And I think this is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful film about friendship and about relationships and about how sometimes we can have these friendships and one person may think of it one way, another person may see the friendship another way, and it's just a really beautiful story. So if you're up for something like that, I say give this one a shot. Now, what I will say, this is not a barn burner. It's one of those movies that takes its time. It's a quiet film. It tells its story, and it really does it in a way that it unfolds at a very slow but good feeling pace. Like, I never felt bored. It's a good pace. The pacing is good, but you have to be patient with it. And the basic story of this is we have these two friends. They've been friends since they were children, growing up in Korea. I think the girl was either 8 or 12, and her family decides to relocate to the United States, and she leaves her friend behind. And about 20 years later, we have social media, we have computers, we have all these things, and he hunts her down on the through social media because he wants to reconnect with her, because all these years he's still thought about her and their friendship. And they reconnect, and I'm not going to get into what happens, but all I can say is, like, he has one view of their relationship and where he wants it to go, and she's kind of just been doing her own thing, but things happen as they are supposed to happen, and this is just a really wonderful, wonderful film. It's going to hit you in all the feels, so be ready for it. And at number 6, we have Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, which this is one that I saw at home. It's also another one. A lot of these films are really long this year. This one I think it came in at over 3 hours. I am glad I saw it at home because I did need to take breaks throughout it, but it's a very important story about the Osage people and what happened to them and what people did to them because of oil that they had on their land. And I thought that Martin Scorsese did an amazing job of telling this very important story. He picked the right people to play the right roles. I think the pacing was good. I think the cinematography was great. I think the way they broke up the story, like where they lay the groundwork in the beginning, and then in the second half, it's kind of more like an investigation thing as to who did what to who and how and why. I just think it was done perfectly. And there's a scene at the end, and if you've seen it, you know. If you haven't, I'm not going to ruin it for you, but I think it was very, very creative what they did with the very ending of the film. It was amazing. Killers of the Flower Moon comes in at 6, and at number 5 is a film that is, it's called Saltburn, and this one I just watched last night, and I know you're probably shocked that it's at number 5, because I heard a lot of things about it before I watched it. It's done by the same woman who did Promising Young Woman, which was very popular when it came out. I think it was 2019 when that one came out. Saltburn is very, very different. Now, what I can say about Saltburn, it is a film that I absolutely loved, and I would recommend to no one. Unless I knew you personally and I knew that you could handle what's in the film, I would be reluctant to recommend it to a wide audience of people who I don't know, if I don't know who I'm talking to. But it's a film about some guys that are at Oxford. They're going to school, and Daniel Keough plays one of the main guys, and you might know him from films such as Killing of a Sacred Deer. He always plays the weird guy, but he's really good in this one, and he's going to school, and he befriends one of the guys who's really, really popular. And he's trying to get in with this group of kids, and no one really notices him. People kind of ignore him because he's shy and he's quiet. And eventually he becomes friends with this guy, and the guy invites him back to the family home, and it's a mansion, and it's called Saltburn. And we get there and we meet this wide array of characters, which are his family members. They're very eccentric, they're very open about certain things. And what I can say is, if you're not open-minded about certain things when it comes to maybe sexuality, things like that, it may not be the film for you, because it really is wild and it is really weird and eccentric, but I thought it was fantastic. And when the story comes around, when it comes full circle at the end, I thought it was just amazing. It really, really blew my mind, and I thought it was really, really well done. But like I said, you have to be thick-skinned and you have to be able to handle certain things. that are probably deemed inappropriate by a lot of people, especially in American audiences. So just be ready for it. But if you're open-minded and you're up for a challenge and you want to see something that's a little different, a lot different, definitely check out Saltburn. It is streaming free on Prime right now, and there are no advertisements on Prime until the end of the month, so you can still see it without advertisements. Number 4 is also one that I saw streaming, and I think it's a fantastic French film called Anatomy of a Fall. Basically what we have is we have a family that's living in a home. It's a husband, a wife, and their legally blind son. And in the beginning, we find out that the husband is working in the room way up top. It's like 3 stories up. And one day his son is coming home, and like I said, the son is legally blind. He's coming home. He comes upon his father dead in the snow outside the house, and it seems that he's fallen somehow from the top story of the house. And what happens in this movie is they're trying to backtrack to find out what happened to the husband. So it gets into it's more than a courtroom drama. It's really a story about dynamics of relationships and family. And what they say in one part is you can't base any relationship or any friendship or any situation on one day or one bad day or one good day that you extract out and then try to put that as this was the relationship. There's a lot more to relationships than that one moment that you extract to try to make your point and say, hey, you must have done this or this must have happened. And the whole thing is about trying to figure out the dynamics of this relationship and this family to find out what happened to the husband. And that's all I can say about it without ruining it. But it is fascinating. It's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful movie. It is so well done. The setting is beautiful. The cinematography is beautiful. The pacing is great. The acting is great. The storytelling is fantastic. And I would highly, highly recommend Anatomy of a Fall. I can't wait for it, hopefully, to come out on physical media so I can add it to my physical media library, because I just think it's a winner of a film. And I want to watch it again because I think it's one that each time you watch it, you're going to find something new that you didn't see the time before. And number 3, I just saw in theaters over the weekend. I saw it on New Year's Eve, and it is Godzilla -1. And I have to say, it is my new favorite Godzilla film. Now, I know my Godzilla experience is a little light, but I don't think anything's going to top Godzilla -1 for me. I think it's fantastic. I thought everything about it was great. People have said it has like a Jaws vibe to it. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. It definitely has some Jaws vibes to it. But if you know Godzilla, you know the story. And I think with this one, what they really got right was a couple things. The Godzilla that they create, he is terrifying. They have such a good Godzilla. He's the best one I've seen, and I think it was fantastic the way they did the whole Godzilla story and the way they made him so menacing and so fearful, and not this monster that you have to feel bad for, but this monster that you're really, really afraid of, and it was very impactful. And then, on top of that, they did a really great human story, and I thought that it was the first time I've seen a Godzilla movie where I truly cared about the people, and I cared about what happened to these characters, and like, I wasn't just like, all right, we have people, let's get back to Godzilla. Like, it was a really great mix of the human element and the Godzilla monster. You put that all together, and it's a winner. It's such a great movie. So if you get a chance to see Godzilla -1 in theaters, do so. And don't worry about the subtitles. They're very brief, and they're very easy to follow. But I just had a blast of a time, and I'm so happy that I got to see it on the big screen. So Godzilla -1 is my number 3 film. And my number 2 film I just got in the mail yesterday. It just came. It's an Alexander Payne film. Alexander Payne, who you might know from films like The Descendants, Nebraska, which is a personal favorite, and Sideways. And it's The Holdovers, which stars Paul Giamatti. And this is such a fantastic film. It takes place over the holidays, and it's at a boys' boarding school. And I think it's supposed to be in the 1970s. It's like 1970 or 1971. And Paul Giamatti plays this just miserable man. He's their history teacher, and like all the kids hate him. And the boys that are boarding at the school, they're going home for Christmas break, but some of them have families who maybe aren't going to be around, or the boys can't go home for whatever reason, and they have to stay at the school, and he is going to watch over them. He's responsible for them for Christmas break. And one by one, the boys eventually take off, and they either get picked up by their families. They go on a ski trip with one of the other kids' families, but they can't get a hold of one guy's family, so he has to stay behind. And he is left with Paul Giamatti's character and this gal who is the head of the school cafeteria. She's the main chef in the school cafeteria. And the three of them are stuck together over Christmas break, and we just follow them on their journey of trying to figure out how they're going to work this whole situation. And I don't want to ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it is just such a great movie, and it is really cool to see how the dynamics of these different relationships work, how it unfolds, how the story is told, and it is really so, so good. Everything you've heard about it, if you've heard that it's great, it is. And I heard this described as the movie that we really needed, but we didn't know it yet. And I think that sums it up perfectly. But if you haven't seen The Holdovers, please, please, please definitely give it a watch, because it's one that I could watch any time of the year. The performances are fantastic. The story's great. Everything about it is great. And I love that it's set in the 70s. So definitely give The Holdovers a shot. And that's my number 2. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to show you my honorable mentions. And these are films that I thought were great. If I had a top 15, they would have all made it. And these are films that definitely appeal to a very wide audience. And I would recommend these films to anyone, because I think anyone who likes these type of films, you're going to love these. The first one, of course, is John Wick 4. I thought this was great. I liked this as much as I liked the first one, which had been my favorite up until now. I think this was everything it needed to be, and it looked fantastic. So if you haven't seen John Wick 4, put it high on your list. It's a good one. The next one, this one surprised me that I liked it so much. It is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Maybe my favorite MCU film to date. I had an absolute blast with this one. I've definitely been like kind of poo-hoo on the MCU, but I had no plans to watch this anytime soon. I watched it the day it came in. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And if you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3, definitely give it a watch. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great way to wrap up the trilogy. And it's all the characters we love, and they're just doing what we love them to do. So Guardians of the Galaxy had to make my honorable mentions. Now this one I talked about in my my best transfers for this year, and it was in my top 10. And it is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. It looks fantastic. It's also a fantastic movie, great story. If you like the first one, you're going to love this one. So definitely, definitely put this one on your list to watch. This next one is not going to be for everyone, but I think the people that connect with it are really going to connect with it. And it's Ari Aster's new one, Beau is Afraid. And like I said, this is not going to be for everyone, but I think if you have a very anxious mind like I do, I think you're really going to connect with this, because this really is a story about a man with crippling anxiety. I think also another thing that you might want to do is watch it in parts. It's broken up into like 3 different, maybe it's 5 different segments. I can't even remember. But watch it in the chapters. Watch a chapter, digest it, you know, go over it, and then watch the next chapter, because I think that's the way it is best consumed. But this is one that I can see myself watching over and over again, because I think each time you watch it, you're going to get something new from it. But again, if you don't come at it from that anxious headspace, I think it's harder to connect with it. It can feel confusing. But I think if you suffer with anxiety or you live with anxiety, I think you're really, really going to connect with this one. So Beau is Afraid, and Joaquin Phoenix is great as always, but Beau is Afraid is on my honorable mention list. And of course, I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't have this one on here. I know, again, this is not for everybody, but I thought it was a lot of fun, and I love Greta Gerwig. It's Barbie. It's one of the highest grossing films ever, and I had to put it on here, and it's not for political reasons. It's not for any of the reasons that people might think, and I'm not here to fight about it. I just thought it was fun. That's all. It looks good, but it's funny. It made me laugh, and it's fun, and if a movie makes me laugh in this day and age, it's going to be on my list. So I thought Barbie was really, really good, and I am not a person who had any interest in seeing a Barbie movie, believe me. I just am really inspired by Greta Gerwig, how she thinks, how she works, how she crafts a story. And do I think at times maybe this took on a bit off a little more than it could chew? Maybe. I think maybe there was a little too much they tried to conquer in this one, but overall, I just think it was a really good time. Great set pieces, great fun, very colorful and lively, and it looks great on 4K. So if you just want to laugh and have fun and not think too much about it, just put on Barbie and have a good time. I think it's a good one. So that is my last honorable mention, and my number 1 pick is going to come as no surprise to anyone. I think it's going to be number 1 on a lot of people's lists and not on others, but it's Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. I think everything about this film is just a winner. I loved it. I watched it at home. I thought the 4K looked amazing. I think they do a really great job of telling the story that is a very important story, but it's a hard story because we're talking about building a bomb that's going to kill people. But it was also a very important story. It's a very historical, important story. And I think they did a really good job of the balancing act of that story. And I think what happened in the second half is a little unfortunate, the way things kind of turned, but I really do think they did a good job of telling the story. And the cinematography is great, the settings are great, everything about it, the special effects, I thought everything about it was great. Cillian Murphy is fantastic in the lead role, and I just think that it's one of those things, like, you have to see it. It's an experience, and it looks fantastic on 4K, and this release is killer. I mean, if you want to talk about a great release, this has so many special features. I mean, it's insane. They have 2 documentaries on this, 2 of them. I watched one. There's still another one I need to watch, but it's a stellar release. They did a great job with everything on this film, and Christopher Nolan is so committed to preserving physical media, and we get releases like this because of people like him. But okay, I had to put my little friend down on the ground. She's asleep. But I want to thank you for watching today's video. You know I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you enjoyed my top 10 picks for 2023. Let me know, what were your favorite movies of 2023? What are you looking forward to in 2024? I hope I didn't do too bad on my ranking. I'm working on getting better at that. That's one of my goals for 2024. But if you enjoy things like this, top 10 lists, recommendations, collection overviews, hauls, movie reviews, a room tour that's eventually coming, consider subscribing and hit the bell notification so you know when I upload again. I posted my schedule over on the community tab, so I am scheduled to do a video again on Friday. So that's when I'm going to see you again. So I'm going to take my little friend and head upstairs so she can bark away with her sisters. And so for now, that's a wrap.